Dear students, this is lecture 18 in supply chain management. First, we go for the questions of the last lecture. The first question is, what is the purpose of transportation? The purpose of transportation is to move the products from one place to another place. The second question is, name the two factors of IKEA to make it as world's low cost provider of furniture. What are the two factors? Effective sourcing and inexpensive transportation. Third question, what is the relationship between shipper and carrier? Shipper is the one who wants to move the product from one place to another place. Carrier is the one who actually implements the transportation, that is moving the products from one place to another place. Now, what is the relationship between shipper and carrier? Carrier provides the transportation service to the shipper. The topic of this lecture is modes of transportation and their performance characteristics. Supply chains use a combination of the following modes of transportation, that is, to move the product from one place to another place. Various kinds of transportations are used. The different modes of transportation are air, package carriers, truck, rail, water, pipeline, and the final one is intermodal. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss the performance characteristics of each mode of transportation and also its advantages and disadvantages. Moreover, we will also discuss when this mode of transportation is applicable and better suitable in our supply chain system. The effectiveness of any mode of transport is affected by equipment investments and operating decisions by the carrier and the available infrastructure and transportation policies. If you consider any mode of transport, for example, you take trucks or rail, in any case, we have to invest on the equipments. Suppose trucks means we have to buy the lorry or tanker, that is a capital investment, and operating decisions by the carrier and how it is to be operated in a daily use or monthly use, or and how it is going to provide the service for transportation to the shipper. And available infrastructure, suppose if you take trucks, what is the infrastructure you need? You need better roads, petrol bunks, and other facilities to operate the equipment, and transportation policies in each category. For example, if we talk about trucks, we have to apply for FC and we have to get the license, we have to pay the tax. So, a lot of things involved in each case. Like this, each mode of transportation needs investment on the equipment and operating decisions and infrastructure as well as transportation policies. Next, the carrier's primary objective is to ensure good utilization of its assets while providing customers with an acceptable level of service. So, the objective of carrier is they want to utilize their assets because they have invested on the equipment. It may be a lorry or a tanker or whatever, any kind of transportation. They want to maximize their profit. At the same time, they want to satisfy the customers also with an acceptable level of service. Carrier decisions are affected by equipment cost, fixed operating cost, variable operating cost, the responsiveness the carrier seeks to provide its target segment and the prices that the market will bear. So the decisions taken by carrier are affected by various factors. First one is equipment cost, that is cost invested to buy the equipment, that is capital investment to buy the uh, particular equipment. It may be, for example, you take lorry. Then fixed operating cost. That means whether you use the vehicle or not, every year you have to pay the insurance amount and you have to pay the tax. So these are all called fixed operating cost. Irrespective of usage, you have to pay this fixed amount. And variable operating cost, it depends upon how you use the vehicle. So if you operate the vehicle for certain number of kilometers, then it involves a lot of fuel usage, diesel or petrol, and wear and tear. If you operate for a longer time, certainly it involves in the wear and tear. It may be in case of tires or engines like that. So the responsiveness the carrier seeks to provide is target segment. That is, what is the response time you want to provide to the shipper. Based on that also we have to take a decision. And finally, the prices that the market will bear, because carrier just like that they cannot fix their price, because they should see whether this prices decided by the carrier will be suitable for this particular market. For example, FedEx designed a hub and spoke airline network for transporting packages to provide fast, reliable delivery times. First, we will discuss what do you mean by hub and spoke model in logistics or transportation system. To understand hub and spoke model, let us take the number of destination is 4. That means 4 points actually. So the very simple system is point to point transit. That means each point is connected to all other points. Dear students, in the paper you assume 4 points. Then you connect each point to all other points through a line. Now you see how many paths are there for these 4 points actually. You calculate and tell me. See, you verify the diagram once again. Each point should be connected with the other points through a line. Each line we can take it as a path. So now totally how many paths are there for these 4 points actually? What do you get? 4 lines or 5 lines or 6 lines? So the correct answer is 6. So that means for 4 destinations, if you have point to point transit, that is every point is connected with the other points, there are 6 paths. So the formula is n into n minus 1 by 2. That is for 4 points, you apply the formula n into n minus 1 by 2, 4 into 3 by 2, that is 12 by 2 is equal to 6. So this is point to point transit system. Now we see how hub and spoke model works for the same 4 points. Out of these 4 points, you make one point as hub. We can call it as a central point. Then connect other 3 points only with the hub. So carefully you listen. Out of these 4 points, any one point you make it as a hub, a central point. Other places should be connected only with the hub. So now you draw the diagram. So for 4 points, one point will become hub. So all other 3 points only connected with the hub. So now how many lines you have drawn? That means how many paths? So it comes to 3. So for 4 points, you need only 3 paths. So what is the formula now? N minus 1. So for 4 points, you need 3 paths. So now you see the difference between point to point transit and hub and spoke model. In point to point transit, every point is connected with the other points. That is, direct path exists between one point to another point. In hub and spoke model, if any point wants to communicate or move the products from one point to another point, it should go through the hub. That is the difference. So in the point to point transit, directly products can be moved from one point to another point because every point has got a path from one place to another place. But in hub and spoke model, any point wants to move the product to another place, first it has to go to the nearest hub. From the hub, it will go to the another point. As the diagram looks like, central place is as a hub and other places are like a spoke in a cycle wheel. So that is why this model is called a hub and spoke model. So I think you are able to understand the point to point transit method and also hub and spoke model in logistics system. UPS is another carrier. In contrast, uses a combination of aircrafts, rail and trucks to provide less expensive transportation with somewhat longer delivery times. The difference between these two transportation networks is reflected in the pricing schedule. That is how it fixes prices for moving products from one place to another place. FedEx, it charges for next day delivery based on package size, the size of the package. UPS, in contrast, charges based on both size and destination. So, from a supply chain perspective, a hub and spoke air network is more appropriate when prices are independent of destination and rapid delivery is important. That is, hub and spoke air network is better when you want to deliver the product fast and prices are independent of the destination, whereas trucking network is more appropriate when prices vary with the destination and a somewhat slower delivery is acceptable. So if you apply the combination of transportation modes, that is trucks, aircrafts, rail and all, prices will vary with the destination and also the delivery will be slower. Next, we see the first mode of transportation, that is air. Air carriers offers a fast and fairly expensive mode of transportation for cargo. Means if you want to move the products through aeroplane, the you can achieve fast delivery, but of course you have to pay more for moving the products from one place to another place. That is why it is fairly expensive mode of transportation for cargo. It is useful for small and high value items because the value of the product is very high. We have to move the products very fast so that it reaches the destination in a short period without losing its value. Or time sensitive emergency shipments. So if we want to send the products within a short period so that it will be useful for the particular shipper also. For example, medical equipments or tablets or medicines like that. So that have to travel a long distance, and also when you want to cover the long distance, then the air transport is best suitable. So when and all you can go for air transport, small, high value items, time sensitive emergency shipments, and we have to cover the long distance. Air carriers normally move shipments under 500 pounds. That is, 1 pound is equal to approximately half kilogram. That means 500 pounds means 250 kilogram. So including a high value but lightweight high tech products. As we are moving the products through aeroplanes, it is better to move the products under 500 pounds. But nowadays, better aircrafts are available to move the products with any weight also. Key issues that air carriers face include identifying the location and number of hubs, assigning aeroplanes to routes, setting up maintenance schedules for planes, scheduling crews, and managing prices and availability at different prices. Decision on these issues have to be taken based on the various factors like infrastructure availability and demand level in different locations and revenue generation and etc. Airlines have three cost components. Number one, a fixed cost of infrastructure and equipment. That is, when you want to run an airline by the particular carrier, we have to invest a capital amount to procure the aircrafts. And of course, we need to have airports and other facilities also, that is fixed cost. But airports are maintained by the government and of the airlines will pay the rent for that. So all these things will come under fixed cost. The second point is cost of labor and fuel, that is independent of the passengers or cargo on a flight but is fixed for a flight. That is, when a aircraft or aeroplane runs between one city to another city, irrespective of number of passengers, it involves fuel and other charges which is fixed. Whether you have 2 passengers or 200 passengers, the cost is going to be same. The third point, variable cost, that depends upon the cargo and passengers carried. So here it depends upon the number of passengers actually boarded in aircraft and the cargo level, so that airline can maximize their profit. Given that most of the cost of a flight is incurred when it takes off, an important objective of an airline is to maximize the revenue generated per flight. That is why the travel cost in airline is dynamic. That is, it changes time to time based on the demand and seats filled in the particular flight. Sometimes we may see that they offer last minute prices or last day prices, the discounts, all these things to maximize their revenue. That means they want to fill all the seats in the aircraft. As a result, revenue management is a significant factor in the success of passenger airlines. For the same source and destination, and for the same aeroplane, you may observe variable pricing in a day or in a week or in a month. For example, if you take Chennai to New Delhi, for the same flight, the price will be changing based on the day. For example, Saturday there will be some price, and Sunday it may be increasing because due to the holiday, and Monday different price, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all different price because that is a mid of the week, and weekends means the price will increase. So like that, they apply dynamic pricing concept so that they can maximize the revenue. In a day itself, they apply variable pricing based on the time. For example, morning times the price will be high, and in the after 6 o'clock night times the price will be somewhat lesser than the flights operated in the morning or daytime. Students, answer for these questions.